Okay, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Rakah, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who teacheth the Bible in 100% truth, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes of Israel, especially the 144,000, who consist of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in the land of the Americas, as well as the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners living amongst the other nations. Shalom to you. Okay, I haven't been feeling too well this week, so I've been unwell. I caught a cold. Caught some sort of bug. I started a stomach ache and like caught a cold at the same time, and whatever else. So I'm gonna make this short. I'm not really fancy talking for too long. I'm gonna start coughing at some point. So I'm gonna make this a short one. But in the last video, I spoke about um, digital ID in the UK, and you've heard since then. You've heard an announcement from the UK government, from the Prime Minister, to basically say that citizens of the UK will be required to have a digital ID in order to work. Now, you, one thing is you're hearing as well. A lot of people are confusing the terminology. Some people call it a digital ID. Some people call it a digital ID card. And even some of the headlines that you see, and what it actually is a digital ID. What you would normally have a digital sorry, you'd normally have an ID card, but this is an ID but without the card. It's a digital version, so some of the terminology is getting confused. And even like from the mainstream media, you see like headlines talking about digital ID card. Well, ID card is a physical thing, and a digital ID is an online thing. And there's no such thing as a card which is digital. So they wouldn't give you a card and say that's digital card. So I just wanted to clear that up. It's a digital ID which will be on a digital platform. Start off probably on your phone, and then from progress from there. It could be start off with a QR code, and ultimately end up with the device under your skin. The prophecy of Revelation 13, MOTB. So now the excuse that they've used, I've been saying this for a long time for the whole of 2025. In fact, 2024, I said that you saw many changes around the world in 2024. Political leaders, prime ministers, presidents, that they all seem to change at once. And I said that they're all going to change at once because they're all going to get given the same memo at the same time, and they're going to go back to their individual countries and they're going to implement this MOTB. And from 2025 to 2030, you got that great the the time for the Great Reset, their agenda. So obviously, being now 2025 onwards, they're gonna they're headed into the home straight, so they're gonna bring bring home this situation with the MOTB. So you've had all these prime ministers, presidents. Donald Trump being one of them. Donald Trump is the reincarnation of Nero, and then you have Starmer, for example, who's also coming at the same particular time. And they said things to the people who supposedly voted for them. The vote, I believe that the vote counts for nothing, but I can't actually prove that. So anyway, so people supposedly vote. They voted for these two particular men in. These men said certain things. People were happy to have them in power. They come along and then they do the complete opposite. And then people talk about them as if what they don't know why they voted, or they supported these particular people, and it's just because they're doing is just following the script. So you got that old saying, don't hate the player, hate the game. And this is what a lot of people are doing. They're hating the player. So, and they're supposed to, because from now on you're going to get sedition. You're seeing it already, but you've been seeing it. But it's going to increase, especially around the world. Not in one place in particular, but also America. You're going to see this sedition, people speaking up against the government, the powers that be, wanting to take the power back into their own hands. People taking to the streets, rioting, protesting, speaking up. General sedition. And it's funny because for months and months and months, kind of I got a bit fed up. Like you're just flicking through shorts, and all you're coming across is these people that are talking about the immigration till you're sick to the back teeth of hearing about immigration. And what's happened is, soon as Starmer's come along and said digital ID, now all of a sudden these videos are not necessarily about immigration. All of a sudden people are doing videos about digital ID. Oh, I'm not taking it. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. Okay, so here we go. We just go on to the next phase. But with the prophets, we're one step ahead. We're many steps ahead. But what we'll do, we'll talk you through the step ahead you're about to go through, so that you can go through that. You witness it when you go through it, and then when you go through that step, we'll talk you through the next step after that. So Starmer's brought in digital ID, not a card. A digital ID. The term digital ID card it contradicts itself. No such thing as a digital card. And then his excuse is, obviously immigration. As we told you, they're going to use that. They're going to say immigration, blah blah blah. And he's saying, oh, you need that to prove, if you want to work in the UK, you show that, and you can prove you've got the right to work in the UK, but you've got that anyway. And this is .gov. This is their own website, which hasn't been updated with this digital ID yet, because there is no digital ID itself, and they haven't actually presented it to us. So at the moment, you go on their website and it says, prove your right to work to an employer. An overview: you'll need to prove your right to work in the UK to your employer before you start working for them. Says, how do you do this? Depends on your nationality and what kind of permission you have to work in the UK. So if you're a British citizen, which is what they're trying to identify, British or Irish citizen, you can prove your right to work in the UK with either the following: a British passport, Irish passport, or passport card. Your passport or passport card can be current or expired. So if you do not have a passport or passport card, you can prove your right to work with one of the following: a birth certificate, birth or adoption certificate, Irish birth adoption certificate, certificate of registration. Basically, he's lying. So they're saying, oh, you need that to work, but there's already documents that you need to work. The document you need to work. Like when I started my job, I had to prove that I could work in the UK, even though I'm born here and I speak English, and you can tell by my accent and the way I'm talking about different things. I'm obviously born in the UK and grew up here, but they still have to ask you. They still have to say, oh, for legalities, can we ask you for right to work? Can you fill out this form? So you tick a box: yes, I have the right to work. Can you provide this evidence? You provide the evidence. But so now apparently this is going to solve the immigration problem, even though something that already existed in its place. But obviously, as we keep telling you, this is all leading you towards Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, really. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So we keep telling you this is fulfillment of this particular prophecy, the very final temptation from the Most High, the last great test. It's, for short, we call it the MOTB, Mark of the Beast. And I'm just trying to find my page. Yes, the situation with the digital ID in the UK is not really to solve the immigration problem, it's to solve the problem of fulfilling that prophecy. So again, you go back to the all the things we've been talking about. You've got the agenda 2020 to 2030, the Great Reset. You've got the UN Agenda 2030. They've got that going on. And you look at all the things that have been happening since 2020. You've seen situations, and it's all part of predictive programming, pushing us in a particular direction. So the next step now, you see, so we spoke you through that step. I kept saying, the UK, look, immigration, immigration, immigration. They're going to introduce a digital ID. They've announced it. They haven't quite got it on the streets just yet, but they've announced it. So then, what does that come with? It comes with Palantir. Palantir. Now, I know Apostle Tahar's gone into this, and there's many others. Palantir Technologies is an American publicly traded company specializing in software platforms for data mining. So this is again something that the prophets have been telling you. I remember mentioning this, like 2-3 years ago, that the data, that's the thing, that's the money, the data. So you trade, you set up an online company, or even companies that are not necessarily online. These stores, you've got these clothing stores, they have stores, they set up online as well. And so for them to target their customers online, either to draw them into the shop or to get them to make the purchase online, they want data. We're all familiar with when you go on the internet and you search for certain things, and then you go to an app like YouTube, and then in between the adverts, they advertise you the things that you were searching for on the internet, because it's picked up an algorithm. So, and this is what Palantir are. This is an American publicly traded company specializing in software platforms for data mining. Again, spoken of about data centers, these clouds. It's just, AI spoke about this, but it's just a computer with information, downloading loads of information so it can answer loads of questions, and they call it a supercomputer. And it has processors in there to make decisions based on the information it has to come up with an answer. And the people say, "Wow, that's like a human," but really, it's just technology. And that goes back again to Revelation 13, verse 11. Behold, another beast coming up out of the earth, and that beast represents EU and NATO, the revised Roman Empire, part 2, the second leg of the statue described in the book of Daniel. And it says, and he had two horns like a lamb, because it comes across as benevolent. It says, and he spake as a dragon with his draconian laws. It says, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, the ancient Roman Empire, with the philosophies. It says, and he causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. It says, and he doeth great wonders. This goes back to that technology, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. He says, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. So within these miracles that we see, go into the moon, they are able to manipulate the weather. They're able to create this technology, this AI technology, this supercomputer brain. And then even what I've spoken of before, they're able to merge AI or the computer with the body. How do they do that? They do it through electrical impulses, not through your melanin or your blood or your DNA or your hair, a strand of your hair. No, they do it through the electrical impulses. So this is all part of that miracles. But it says, and he deceiveth them that dwell on earth by the means of those miracles. And again, with this MOTB is going to come in by deception. It says, which he had power to do so in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on earth, they that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And they do it in the sight of the beast, which is the sight of EU and NATO. You have EU getting ready to set up a digital currency. You've got NATO, who they're all part of this whole same system. So this thing's going to be worldwide, and you're not going to be able to escape from it. So saying to them that dwell on earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So this goes into taking that MOTB. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That word mark, going back to the word charagma, incision in the skin. And it goes in their foreheads. That word is metapon, which is into your mind, basically. You've got companies like Meta. Is it Facebook? They used to be Facebook. Now they've named themselves Meta. And you've got. So you got. I spoke of before about how they're able to translate the thoughts from your mind into a Bluetooth signal. So don't forget, they've got like the Neuralink. They take your thoughts. I want to move my arm and I want to do this with it. That's a thought. To you, the thought is just it disappears into thin air. But what it is in a layman's terms, it exists in the form of an electrical impulse, and that electrical impulse travels in your brain to send a signal. When you think it, they take that, they translate it to a Bluetooth signal, and they make this a mechanical arm move. And what they want to do with that, so they're able to intercept your thoughts, and then obviously, your thoughts are basically you. So then that describes who you are, what you're thinking, what you're about, even how you feel towards certain rules and regulations that are put in your place. So your thoughts go back to the data that they want to build up. This thing's going to go worldwide, and ultimately it's going to be like a track and trace system of everybody. But not only will they know who you are, your social security number, your medical history, but then at some point they're looking to be able to read your thoughts. You've got that Noah Yuval Harari, the devil, the small hat, the little bum bandit. He's part of the WEF, or he's part of the think tank, and he's obviously spoken of that before, about these governments will basically be able to know how you feel when they speak to you about certain things. And this all goes back into reading the mind. So the mind, the information, it all goes back into the data. And you've got companies like Palantir who are known for mining data. This is headquartered in Denver, Colorado. It was founded in 2003 by Peter Thiel, Stephen Cohen, Joe Lonsdale, and Alex Karp. I'll just read this bit here. It says the company has 4 main operating systems: Palantir Gotham, Palantir Foundry, Palantir Apollo, and Palantir AIP. Palantir Gotham is an intelligence tool used by police in many countries as a predictive policing system. So it's not just policing system, but it's predictive, based on past history, location, certain things that are happening, and it will predict policing measures that need to be taken place. And by militaries and counter-terrorism analysts. It says including the United States Intelligence Community, USIC, and United States Department of Defense. Its software as a service (SaaS) is one of five offerings authorized for mission critical national security systems. This is by the U.S. Department of Defense. So that's Palantir Gotham. But then you got, and obviously it's like a bit like Batman. You got Gotham City. As you got Palantir Foundry has been used for data interrogation and analysis by corporate clients such as Morgan Stanley, Merrick G, KG, AA, Airbus, Wejo, Lilium, and whoever else, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. So Palantir Foundry is data interrogation and analysis by corporate clients. Things that are being bought basically. Palantir Apollo is a platform to facilitate continuous interrogation, continuous delivery across all environments. So it says here the government has been criticized for its role in expanding government surveillance using artificial intelligence and facial recognition software. Former employees and critics say the company's contracts under the second Trump administration, which enabled deportations and the aggregation of sensitive data on Americans across administrative agencies, are problematic. So it's the same sort of thing that they use in the Middle East. You've got Lavender. You can look up Lavender, the AI machine directing Israel's bombing spree in Gaza. I mean, this has all been brought out. It's just if you haven't heard of this, Palantir is already live in the UK government across several departments. So this announcement that you had with the digital ID, it's not just, they're not just making it up as they go week by week, and they've just decided, you watch the news and they say, oh, Donald Trump came and he sat down with the Prime Minister Starmer, and they had a cup of tea and they thrashed it out and they made these decisions and these deals and they went home. Now these things have been planned for years. These companies were set up. Palantir was set up in 2003. So these things are like well in advance, and that's why I say things like you're looking at an election and a vote for a prime minister or a president. it's all a lie. It's not reality. It's like a TV show. They're just calling the actor to play the next part, and then they just carry out this big charade of a voting system an inauguration and all the bullshit that goes with it and everything. But anyway, Palantir is already live in the UK government across several departments, including the Ministry of Defence and NHS England. NHS is the health service. This is not a future event, but an ongoing process that has been expanding for several years. So Starmer's only been in for like just over a year. And people say, oh, you got to blame him for the way the country is, it's terrible. And you think to yourself, well, the problems were here before he came. And then he comes out with this announcement, oh, now I've got this digital, ID that's going to solve the problem. But the technology that he's using to solve the problem was already here before he got here. So what does that tell you? This is not a future event, but an ongoing process that has been expanding for several years, with new contracts continually being agreed upon. So this is like lately, it says new 1.5 billion strategic partnership in September 2025, which we've just passed. The UK government and Palantir announced a new strategic partnership under which Palantir will invest up to 1.5 billion into the UK to advance military AI and innovation. So what the AI, what the UK government's excuse. That whole immigration thing, it goes to on a deeper level. The excuse that they're using to bring it in. All these people are complaining about immigration. Oh, our jobs being taken by immigrants. Blah blah blah. And so they said, oh, digital ID. And at the same time, this isn't really in the news, and these people don't really know what's going on. But you've got 1.5 billion is being invested by Palantir. So he says, under which Palantir will invest up to 1.5 billion pounds into the UK to advance the military AI and innovation. So when it comes to government, like NHS, that's medical, so all medical facilities, the government, the Ministry of Defence, all the army stuff, is definitely heading that way. Palantir are investing 1.5 billion, and the UK say, oh well, it's a great idea. Look, they're investing money in us, and they invested money in us, and we upgrade everything. We catch up to date 2025, all this new technology, and with it comes Palantir digital ID, and we can watch the boats. We can stop the boats coming across the water and all these illegal immigrants. It's a win-win. And I want them to do it. I want them to do this because this is the only way we're going to get out of here. If they don't, you got all these people now. Oh, say no to digital ID, this, that, and the other. I don't care whether they say no or say yes or what. I just want them to do it because if they do it, then we're all on our ones. We have to work out our own salvation. We'll find out if the Most High is going to deliver you through that time or not, and then we can make it to the end and we can get out of here. So people, like, some people are like, say no, this, that, and the other, and then some people are like, these people are wicked for doing. They are wicked. These Edomites are the wicked, and they're bringing about their plan. But at the same time, they're not necessarily wicked for bringing about the plan, if you understand what I'm trying to say, because they have to do it. That's their job. And if they don't do it, then we're not going to get out of it. You're going to be stuck working, dying, being reborn, working through it again, and then be dying and reborn, keep coming back, keep catching illnesses, keep, having these problems that you have in your lives. And it's all because of that. So anyway, so I'm going to leave the link for this. This is Palantir AI kill systems set to be rolled out in the UK. And then this video is a day ago. Unity News Network. And this guy's pretty much talking about, I think this is like April. He said around April times. You've got the UK Prime Minister Starmer. He went down to Palantir to visit them. They, showed him what type of technology he had, what they had, and then obviously since then they've come back and now they've got these. It says a new strategic partnership with Palantir to unlock up to 1.5 billion investment in the UK to deliver new jobs, growth, and national security. Palantir announces plans to make the UK its European HQ headquarters for defence and create up to 350 new high-skilled jobs, cementing the UK as a state-of-the-art defence technology hub. It says Palantir and UK military to develop AI-powered capabilities already tested in Ukraine to speed up decision-making, military planning and targeting. It says it will see Palantir invest up to 1.5 billion to help make the UK a defence innovation leader. My wife's just repeating itself, but yeah, basically, this is what it is. Some of these new capabilities will support development of what is known as the kill chain, whereby military planners fuse a wide range of information and data sources from open sources and military platforms to provide military commanders with faster options for attacking an emergency target. So this would form an element of the digital targeting web announced in the Strategic Defense Review, which will have a large and diverse supplier ecosystem. Cutting edge data and AI tech, which is already being proven on the battlefield in Ukraine, speeds up this planet by fusing together sensitive information to rapidly produce and plan a target attack on the enemy. The partnership would identify opportunities with the UK defence, which could be worth up to 750 million over the next 5 years, showing that the UK is in a strong position to be a digital data and AI world leader. And there you have it. So we're telling you that the MOTB is about to be rolled out, and you have it here. The UK is looking. They want to put themselves in a strong position over the next 5 years. The partnership announced just now will identify opportunities with UK defence, which could be worth up to 750 million over the next 5 years. The home straight. So showing that the UK is in a strong position to be a digital data and AI world leader. The mark of the beast. I say it out loud. So what? You do get fed up and just, um, I don't mind. You have code words. Code words are all right, but when you have to start like spelling out the fucking individual letters, it gets a bit much. I suppose I should just use the charagma. But then you want people to understand what you're talking about, 'cause especially now it's that time. But it is what it is. But this is Psalms 19:4. It says that their line is gone out through all the earth. It says, and their words to the end of the world. It says, in them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. It says, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber. It says, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. It says, is his going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. So this describes pretty much a satellite. It says their line has gone out through all the earth. It says, and their words to the end of the world. So speaking of the prophets, we've warned you about the MOTB. We've warned you about all the other prophecies, Jacob's trouble, and it's happening right before you. It says, in them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, a home for the sun, somewhere where the sun would dwell, would be the satellite. The satellite has solar panels, so it takes in the sun. The sun arrives at the solar panels, and the solar panels take it in and they store it as a tabernacle for the sun. And then through that, our words are able to go out to the end of the world. We turn the world upside down, as did the apostles and prophets 2,000 years ago. And now you're seeing it play out before your eyes, these major prophecies, these MOTB, and so on and so forth. And it's the same technology that makes them want that helps them to bring out the MOTB. Because you've got this Palantir in his AI. It's about data, information. It's about having a system to lock down everybody. In terms of a digital prison. All your records, all your finances, it's all stored as data, and then the data of the things around you and the things that you go through in your life and your 15-minute city and all that will be programmed in to interact, which is what things like Palantir are experts at. This this software system over here interacting with this particular software system over here to make them run. It's like your car. Your car has it has different operating systems. It has a brake system. The brakes run through hydraulics and fluid. Then you have an airbag system, and then you have an electrical system for your lights. And so all these things function on their own, but then they function together to make everything work. Sometimes on these modern cars, if you have a problem with your airbag, it won't let you start the car. And you say, well, why is the car not starting? It's, oh, because there's something wrong with the airbag. And there's something wrong with the airbag. The car thinks, well, maybe I'm in a car crash. So it disables the ignition. And it's the same sort of thing with Palantir. So, they've got that data, they've got your data, they've got all the data of the things around the world, and they put it all together. They want it to interact. And then they need the internet, they need that tabernacle for the sun. So they need it to be able to send messages, and that's what then makes this go worldwide. That's why it goes back to verse 16. He calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark, an incision in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the name or the beast of the beast. The name of the beast is all the number of his name. So I'm going to leave the link for this in the description box. But you know what? They've just announced digital ID in the UK. I've spent months and months. We spent months and months telling you up. For me personally, being in the UK, I know I've been saying this for like about a year now, or maybe a little bit less. That look, this immigration problem is going to lead to the digital ID. Now they've announced the digital ID. All of a sudden, the people that were complaining about immigration are now complaining about a digital ID. But nobody's looking forward. Nobody's ahead of the time, apart from the prophets. So that's why I'm telling you. While everybody's watching the digital ID, but what about Palantir? They've just invested £150 million into the UK, it says the UK is going to become going to be put in a strong position to be a digital data and AI world leader. So I'm going to leave it right there. So I hope that's edifying. I'll leave it right there. Until next time, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Quadash. Until next time, Shalom.